Hey, what's up? This is Scott with Level Up Tutorials, and in this video we're actually going to be hitting our Apollo server with a GraphQL query to actually display data on the front end. So even though this isn't hitting a database, it's not doing anything fancy, we're actually going to be hitting the server and returning data and then displaying it in React. So let's get going on that right now. Okay, so in this video, we're finally going to get output our actual query, okay? And this is most of the hard stuff. After this comes on, we're going to connect to some database stuff. We're going to be adding some actual, inserts and calls and mutations and sort of stuff like that. And you're going to just totally get it, right? Right now, we're simply just, we've created our server, we've created our client, we've connected the two. In this one, we're going to connect an actual component to everything. Keep it full circle and get this outputting data directly from Apollo client. Okay, so check it out. Let's go ahead and head to our VS Code here. And you remember we had our Apollo app. We were rendering that, and we had our app component. Let's jump into our app component, considering this is where we're actually going to be connecting this. Okay, right now this app component is so incredibly stupid, it's just an H1. You'll be able to see exactly how easy it is to connect any sort of anything using Apollo. And whether you're doing more than one query or mutations, it's all very similar to what we're doing here. What we need to do is import some stuff, okay? So let's talk about what we're importing and why. We're going to import, and keep in mind this is not within brackets, this is GQL, okay, from GraphQL tag. Now, GQL is going to allow us to write a GraphQL query just inside of JavaScript here, and then use that query to actually pull data in, okay? Now, next we're going to import actually inside of brackets GraphQL. Okay, now GraphQL is what we're going to use to connect our query to our component. Okay, so this is from, GraphQL is from React Apollo, okay? So this GraphQL comes from Apollo, okay? So we have our app, says hello, okay? Now let's go ahead down here below our app, or below our component, and let's go ahead and make a new query. We're going to say a constant, and this is just going to be hi query is going to be equal to a GQL, and we're going to use backticks. And just like we did when we defined the query itself, we're going to actually define a GraphQL query. Now, one of the easiest ways to test to see if a query is going to work is to try it in GraphQL. And you can see we have it's to try it in graphical, sorry, not GraphQL. You can see that we have this basic query. Again, this isn't JavaScript, so we don't need commas and any of that stuff. We just have two brackets, the word hi, and then another bracket, okay? We can copy this query directly since we know it works. I mean, we are seeing it working right here. We can copy this directly from here. You can even click prettify if you want to make sure that your indentation's all correct first. It's actually, I mean, this is what it's made for, right? That's what Graphical's made for. We can paste it in here just like this. And what this is going to do is define a query for us. We want to run the hi query. And the hi query is going to return a data object that has the string of hello, level up. Okay, so check it out. Next thing we want to do is actually connect this query to our app, and we're going to do so using GraphQL. And we're going to do so using the higher order component, the sort of pattern here. You can see we have two parentheses, like we're running a function, and then we have parentheses around app. Now inside of GraphQL, let's actually put this on another line here. Inside of GraphQL, we need to pass in the hi query, okay? So we can do that just simply by saying hi query. Now this, what's it called? Prettify just put this on one line for me, which is fine. And this actually should give us everything that we need. So let's actually save this and check out our application. Okay, so far nothing, right? But if we head to our React DevTools, we open up Apollo app. You could search for this if you wanted to, but if we look at app, you can see what was once a total blank empty object now has a data property. Inside of that data, we have a whole bunch of stuff, including our hi property, which has a value of hello level up. So that tells us that we have a prop in app now called data. And that prop has a property called hi. So let's go ahead and grab data from our props and then output data.hi, okay? So let's save this. So what's cool about this is, yeah, it's hitting the database. Well, not the database, I'm sorry. It's hitting the server. It's running this query to say, hey, give me the value of hi, okay? Well, on the server, the value of hi is defined as a query. That query exists right here, and it's simply just returning the string hello level up. Now, what we should see in our app is hello level up. Every time you refresh it, we get hello level up. This is coming directly from our server. It's not coming from any sort of client-side code. It's brilliant, right? So you can imagine that if we had a database here and this return hello level up, instead of being, well, a string here was a database call, you can see how this starts to work. So we are now have our first React connected component to Apollo and GraphQL, and we're able to query this and say, hey, give me exactly what I want. Now again, this seems like a lot of work to get hello level up output from the server. But a lot of the hard stuff is done. We've connected the server to the client. And now all we need to do is start building, well, more and more complex resolvers, more and more complex schemas. We need to start doing something called mutations. But you can see we got the basics done. So cool. I hope this was really super helpful. Again, you can just throw this into your already existing app if you have a Meteor and React app. And it will replace everything that you have in there, whether it's Redux or Tracker or any of that stuff. But you can do it incrementally if you'd like. So good, I hope this was a good introduction to Apollo and GraphQL using Meteor and React. Now, by no means am I done with this series. By the end of this, we're going to have a real life resolution app with sort of sub-resolutions, right? If you make a resolution to read more books, maybe you're going to want to say, did I read 10 pages today? Check it off. Did I read 20 pages today? Check it off. That sort of stuff, So basically, by the end of this, we're going to have a fully functional, available app, and we're going to get into things like user accounts and stuff like that. We're going to get into a little bit of security stuff. It's going to be really, really excellent, but I hope this has been a good introduction so far, and I'm going to keep it coming. This entire series will be free, so if you want to support Level Up Tutorials, head on over to leveluptutorials.com, and you can become a pro. Subscribe. Get access to all of the premium tutorial series I have available, and all of the new series that are coming this year, including a lot of stuff on GraphQL. So if you want to learn GraphQL outside of Meteor, you want to learn some of the finer points of it and get really, really in depth, I'm going to go there this year. So check it out. As always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.